everyone, and welcome to the 23rd episode of the Liam McCullum Show. Today I'm going to be talking to Commander Dale Brown from Threat Management Center, a private security firm based out of Detroit. Brown started Threat Management Center at a time when people really couldn't depend on the police in Detroit. There was also a lot of violent crime going on, and Brown kind of took the opportunity to provide a service to use nonviolent tactics to reduce violent crime. I figured it was important to share this story and also kind of give a private solution to all of this mess that we're seeing today. Dale told me before the interview that he doesn't consider himself a police force and he doesn't want to police people. All he wants to do is protect people. And I want to read this quote from NBC Detroit. He was interviewed by them. In 2014, he said, "And we help people in all communities. Let me be clear, 50% of domestic violence victims that are sent to us by courts, domestic violence shelters, and now prosecutors' offices, these are people they think are going to be killed. Since there is no police organization that keeps people from being killed, specifically, we are tasked and we do it as a volunteer component of our bodyguard program for my self-defense school that I created." So alongside this for-profit private security firm that he also has some volunteer services alongside. He's also gone to high schools to teach high school teachers how to disarm intruders if they have weapons. And he also teaches self-defense. Like, he has a program where he has people from age 4 to 17 being taught, how to evade gunfire or basic first aid and stuff like that. So I think that this is going to be a pretty interesting topic, and he definitely has some words to say about what we're seeing today with police brutality and the issues with race. So I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. Here he is. Well, Commander Dale Brown of the Detroit Threat Management Center, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and to get started, could you kind of give a summary of Threat Management Center's mission and why you guys started it and what you do?
Well, I started teaching urban survival tactics in 1994 in Detroit because I saw that people needed assistance and needed to be able to help themselves and protect themselves. There was a woman that was chased off a bridge in front of a lot of people, and no one could help her because the three men were big and scary, and she died in front of her daughter after being attacked. And I thought, if I had people on that bridge trained in tactics that I know, that woman would not have been chased off that bridge, and we could take a terrible story, remove it from the city of Detroit, and most importantly, a little girl would not have watched her mother get attacked and taken and essentially scared off a bridge and died in front of her. So my point was to take the training to people that really can benefit from it and to do my part to make the world a safer place through education. My idea was to help people protect themselves, to empower them with the ability to understand law. It was what makes our training system, the training system I created called the Eclecticon, so unique. Eclectic meaning blend of styles, and K-in is a Japanese suffix which means system, so blend of styles, place, or system. Eclecticon was specifically designed to teach urban survival tactics to people so they could protect themselves. What I found out was that essentially the people needed actual protection, and I found that out by constantly calling the police, constantly interacting with the police, and finding out the police had a different mission than what I thought people were looking for and needed. So it was out of the need that I created a entity that could meet the needs of the people, the corporations, the communities. And our objective is to take it to country and different countries. And we have people that are very interested worldwide in what we have to offer as a result of what started just empowering people in 1994, an educational process. And what makes our education so unique is that I started off just wanting to teach people how to understand the law, how to understand how to use a pistol, a shotgun, a rifle, how to use a knife, a baton, an environmental weapon to defend themselves, but most importantly, to do it legally. So I teach law. So I started off teaching law and tactics, and I thought this would be the greatest system in the world if people knew how to protect themselves and do it legally. Because I realized as a private investigator, after I got out of the military, I was an airborne paratrooper, I realized that people don't know the law. I've been a martial artist my whole life, a firearms instructor. I was a firearms instructor of NRA certified of 5 disciplines. I taught hundreds of people how to use guns. And then I found out that guns not only don't make you safe, which is why the Secret Service has never used a gun, but yet has defended people every day. It's because the gun is actually normally not really an advantage in close quarters, like big muscles. Big muscles seem like they're an advantage, yet you've never seen a bodybuilder step into the ring with any fighter. Not one time.
Right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, yes, he made millions, but he would have made many more millions in a much shorter period of time going into a boxing match. Yet he knew he can't box. And that's just not even true because he definitely can't do MMA. None of the great bodybuilding champions can ever use that muscle in a fighting situation because it doesn't, although it looks and seems applicable, it's not. That's what guns are. If guns were helpful, truly, in close quarters and dealing with violent threat, then Secret Service would have used it to protect the president, which they did not. Although they carry them, they never actually used them. In fact, when President Reagan was shot, Secret Service was able to defend him without using a gun because the gun would have been worse. So the reality is guns don't make us safe. Every dead police officer had at least 2 guns at the time of their death. And there's no way you're going to take a class and make yourself better than any of the dead police officers who are doing their job and died protecting themselves and others using one or both of the 2 guns they had on their person. So I say all that to say that teaching gun dependency, teaching that the gun is a solution doesn't stand up to reality. And now I have heuristic, empirical education that I got from actual application. Thousands of my team members have deployed over the past 25 years throughout Detroit and surrounding communities, even other countries, and we have made people safe safely. And so that's what we specialize in, and we specialize in teaching that. And we have protective service team members that are trained as bodyguards in the VIPERS program. VIPERS stands for Violence Intervention Protective Emergency Response System. So it's a acronym for the training system, which also enables people to be hired by companies, corporations, and communities to provide executive type protection that's tactical and practical. So it's not just executive protection, it's actually really how to protect using psychology, understanding law, and having the skills to create a non-adversarial interaction for a non-violent outcome. So it really is a way, a paradigm shift in how we view safety and how we can create safety safely.
Great. Can you kind of explain a little bit about how Detroit looked when you first started this, how crime was treated by the police departments there, and kind of what you observed and how you felt like you needed to start this?
When I first started this, the police department was a lot different than it is now overall. What I saw was, as I called the police constantly before taking any action, and I encouraged all citizens to call 911 before doing anything involving criminal activity, and never confronting criminals without calling 911 first. And when you confront them only to create safety, not to hurt people or to use force. The force should only be used to protect yourself and others if the person's violent towards someone. So if someone steals something, for example, you wouldn't go beat them up or shoot them or even touch them because life is more important than law and people's lives are more important than people's property. That's what we do. So we don't believe in touching people over property. It's insured and you can buy another one. And we just don't believe anyone should be killed. Even a thief shouldn't be killed over stealing something. So that's just part of what I created here is a system that makes sense. Killing people over insurance property is just crazy. So what I found, though, was that police were interested in prosecution more than protection. And a distinction was created through actual application. I thought protection and policing were the same thing. So I thought by calling the police, they would come to protect. And sometimes they did. However, that's not the purpose. The purpose is law enforcement. You can't enforce laws if laws have not been broken. We don't think of it that way, but that's what law enforcement is the enforcement of laws that have been broken, which means a predator has already raped, robbed, and killed someone when the police are able to enforce laws. Well, that's fine, except that's not what most people are interested in. That's definitely not what I'm interested in. I don't want to find out who raped, robbed, and killed anyone. What I would like to do is not let someone get raped, robbed, or killed. So I created the system, the actual methodology, the actual method by which we can actually create conditions where people are not raped, robbed, and killed. And it turns out that is also profitable. So what I've been able to do is create a direct correlation between the protection of people and the prosperity of people. There's a direct correlation. If you keep people in any community protected from predation, then prosperity is a naturally occurring byproduct for everyone. Whoever's wealthy will simply get wealthy. If you keep poor people alive and safe, don't let them get home invaded, raped, robbed, and murdered, they will pay their bills. They will patronize stores. They will have more money because they have more life. They can pay more taxes to the police department. Everyone's a winner if everyone's protected. And no one is a winner if anyone is preyed upon, whether they're rich or whether they're poor. If poor people are killed, raped, robbed, and killed, and other people are incarcerated, not only does property value go down, quality of life goes down, less taxpayers are alive, but you also have to house the person in prison, which it costs $100,000 per prisoner in a government prison, $300,000 on average for a private prison. There is no benefit for the civilian population, for the actual public. There is no benefit in prosecution. The benefit is only in protection. But from watching television, we, got a distorted view of society, and we actually started liking the idea of prosecution, which makes absolutely no sense. So the police have a metrics for a negative, which is all the things you don't want to happen. And the police were never given, assigned, or rewarded for positive metrics. There is no reward for the prevention of crime for any police department in America. And we need to change that. We need to reward police for what we want, not what we don't want. So if we don't want the Cobra effect, we don't create the Cobra effect. And that's what we're doing when we reward for negative occurrences. If we're saying, if you have more arrests for drugs, there will be more drug arrests. In fact, there'll be more selling of drugs to catch more people doing drugs, right, which is deleterious to property value, quality of life, and you have to pay for the incarceration and prosecution. There's no money in prosecuting the poor people. And no one wants to prosecute all the rich people and get all their money, because at the end of the day, once you prosecute all the rich people and put them all in white-collar prisons and create an entire prison system for them, once again, we're going to lose all of our money again. There's no societal way to prosper from predation and prosecution. But everyone will prosper from protection naturally.
Can you talk a little bit about the methodology that you mentioned right there and the tactics that you might use?
So the methods and tactics we use are very unique because they're based on psychology, not physicality. So some of the things we've done over the years is we tell criminals that there are cameras watching out for them, looking for them to do crime, and to be careful not to get caught. The criminals don't look at us as their adversary. They look at it as though we're giving them some information they didn't have, and they believe us, and they simply go away. When it's not even true, the police aren't looking at any camera images or video. That's a lie. And that lie results in the criminals being so paranoid they stay away from this area. One of the things we did that was extreme was we pulled up on some guys selling drugs. There was 8 drug dealers on a corner. We made a PA announcement in an undercover vehicle. This is just some people from my staff, me and one guy. And this is in 1995. So I go on a PA system and I said, clear the area, no drug dealing. And this is public streets. This is on East Jefferson in Detroit, a 6-lane road near the mayor's mansion, and in a place where families live. 90% of the people in this 1 square block, which is approximately 400 families, are just regular people. 10% are gang members, criminals, violent people that are literally preying upon 90% of the people that live there. And so these drug dealers, which are thug dealers, are not actually making a lot of money. They're actually just dealing drugs enough to buy guns and mayhem. So they're not, the real drug dealers have apartments and houses and they don't make trouble. You never really see them. These are thug dealers. They're out on the street corners and they're troublesome people. They actually harass people, they harm, they beat up people for no reason. That's who these particular kinds of guys are. These aren't just drug dealers. And there's a distinction. The drug dealers, again, were people we never really had contact with because We're not interested in drugs and those issues. We were interested in anything that was a quality of life issue that interfered with people's ability to live and have a good quality of life right here in America. And that was the whole point, that everyone should be able to live safely. So I go up to this group of guys in a PA with a PA system, handheld PA, and I yell, "No drug dealing, clear the area." Two of the men step forward. One guy looks like The Rock, MMA, the wrestler, The Rock, the actor, with a giant afro. And he is about 6'6", and with the afro, 7 feet tall. And he is big as The Rock. Looks very much like him with goatee. And the guy next to him is more like my size, 5'9", 200 pounds. And this guy has long hair, like braids, and a goatee. And they're definitely thug guys in the movies. Like, you ever saw thugs, gang members in the movies? These are like ultimate looking thugs. And so as we come up to them, two of the guys come off these two thug dealers, which we actually call them thug animals. These are guys that even if you gave them the money or gave them a car during carjacking, they'd still shoot you. So that's not really like a criminal who simply would take the car and take your money and leave. Right. These are the kind of guys who would actually hurt you just because you're there. And so these are just violent people. And so two of the guys step forward. These two big guys, one big guy and the other guy, regular sized guy. And I took my baton and I cracked it across his shin. And you heard it crack. And then he grabbed me in the air, lifted me off the ground. This is in the middle of the street, in the public street. Lifted me in the air. Then I choked him with my baton, dragged him across the street, and no one ever saw him again. And as a result, that street corner, which had been inhabited by illegal activity that oppressed the families and made them feel terror, never had thug dealers on it again. Wow. That was in 1995. The thug dealers have been terrorizing the families since the 60s, apparently. I don't know. I didn't live there more than a year before that. And what was amazing was the families can now go to the store without feeling terror, without being harassed. And what's interesting is the store owner, he called, I don't know if he called the police, but he definitely called the building owners we worked for and said, your guys are abducting people and, just attack these guys and abducting them. And so, we took those guys away and no one ever saw them there again. And so then the building owners actually had a meeting with me. I showed them the video because we video recorded it with a giant video camera with a VHS tape that tells you the year. And, so showed it to these extremely rich men who owned multiple buildings, one of which looked like Bill Clinton, the president, talked like him, and owned 5 cancer vehicles in Florida and 3 big buildings in Detroit.
Wow. And
another guy looked like Dick Cheney and was probably as rich or richer than him. He owned multiple skyscrapers in Detroit. And so they looked at this video and they're like, my God, you have abducted these men and you kidnapped them. You attacked them. This is illegal. I was like, sir, first of all, I don't do illegal things. Number 2, if I did something illegal, I promise I wouldn't video record it and then show it to you. Number 3, if I was the kind of guy that abducted violent gang members and video recorded it and showed it to you, you should be scared of me. Clearly, that's a bad guy. Can you imagine? Like, these guys are very trusting or very ignorant. They just told a guy they think abducts people that he's fired. They actually fired him. They're like, you're fired because you broke the law. You abducted these people. My God, what were you thinking? I said, what were you thinking? I said, you really think I'm going to break the law and then tell you, then show you the video? That's just very disrespectful. I said, first of all, those men work for me.
Wow.
They were like, what? I was like, those 2 guys are part of our team. The next day, they got a haircut, which is why no one ever saw them again, because they didn't recognize them. Yeah. Because this is their first day. They put in an application, and I had them go out and act like drug dealers for 4 hours. It was convincing. We did have cars pull up and give them cash. So the real drug dealers thought these were real drug dealers. But we weren't handing anything but cash to each other.
That's hilarious. So
these guys, the rubber, the hose, the thing I broke across his shin was actually a stick inside of foam. It wasn't real. It wasn't really a baton. just cracked and sounded good, and there was lots of screaming. And
That's amazing.
the drug dealers, the real criminals, thought we would have dumped them. I guess I don't know. We never said a word to them. But the two actors were beaten with foam rods and tugged away. And from that day forward, we had a reputation that was hardcore as body stealers, body snatchers, and we were very violent. But we didn't even fist fight anyone. We didn't point a gun at anyone. There was no threats to anyone.
Right.
All we did was a skit, just a video skit, right? And suddenly the criminal gangs were all terrified of us.
That's amazing. So you talked
and stayed off that corner and family and so it doesn't take a warrant and arrests and violence to actually create safety is what we learned. What we learned is you can peacefully create safety by being innovative, creative, and inspire change.
Right.
So the inspiration was done through a skit.
Yeah.
And no violence.
And you talked a little bit about the building owner right there. Can you talk more about how you guys make revenue?
So when I first started in 1995, the building owners have been going through years of loss of revenue because people are getting killed and people are moving out and they move in. It looks good during the daylight. Then at night there's shootings and people getting home invaded. During the daylight they were getting home invaded as well. And so I went to the building owner. I said, "Listen, sir, your people that are paying you rent, they're being terrorized. They're being home invaded." I said, hire me as the security for the buildings. I'm already working in your parking lot for $4.15 an hour when minimum wage is $5.15. So that's why that makes sense, but I did it. I work 80 hours, but only get paid for 40 because the people need 80 hours of my time.
Right.
And so I don't mind because the objective is to make it safe. The money is not the motivational factor for me. It is the people. I believe that people should not feel terrorized in America in their homes. Understand the impetus for all of this was never money. There's never a time where working for $4.15 an hour when minimum wage is $5.15 sounds appealing.
Right.
Okay. So if we were thinking about money, there's no way that would work. So what I did was I said, we can help you. We'll get rid of these home invasions, these murders. There's one murder a month. And he was like, "Wow, that's a really good idea. Good luck with that." He said, why would you think you could do something when you're not even from Detroit? But why would you think you could do something the Detroit police cannot do in 20 years that I've owned these buildings? I said, well, I don't think I can do something the Detroit police can't do. I started thinking about it. I was like, wow, what could I do? If the Detroit Police Department can't do this, how could I do this? I remember thinking this probably isn't going to work. I'm probably not going to be able to help people because they're so dangerous. He just brought up a valid point. The Detroit Police Department couldn't defeat these criminals. What could I do? I said, well, I could get the legal right to defend the families. That's all I need. And then I'll probably get killed. That's probably what's going to happen. Pretty sure. I watch enough movies and TV shows about gangs, I could be killed. So I'm probably going to die. But at least this is a good, noble death because I'll be dying for the families that need help in America that are being terrorized. So I was like, well, I guess that's my purpose. My purpose was to die for people. And then, that's why I'm here. I guess I ended up on the east side of Detroit. I believe that there must be a purpose, and this must be my purpose. So I just realized I just need the legal rights to actually enforce the rules of these buildings so I can get him to hire me for whatever amount of money. So and then he doesn't want to spend any money. So I said, well, give me one free apartment in each building. I'll get some volunteers to protect your building. There's 10 buildings, there's 1 square block, 3 different owners. I'll go to all of them. I'll get a free apartment in each building for a protector. And then I'll get one of the clients to buy communication. They got these Nextel two-way radio cell phones that were just new technology at the time, very futuristic. And there's no cell phones anymore. But you press a button and everyone comes, from around the area and we converge and help each other protect the buildings 24 hours a day. In exchange, I'll train the people in my tactics so they can know how to protect people and do it legally and protect themselves. Gun disarms, knife disarms, takedowns, stuff you're going to need if you're going to be in Detroit, in the inner city, telling violent gang members they can't do something. Okay? So I started training people in the neighborhood. First guy I got just got out of prison and got him a place to live there, and he agreed to protect the building. So I used regular people off the streets of Detroit to protect the community in Detroit. And they lived in the building. So I got regular people to protect the building. I got multiple people, and I trained them. Now we have trained people in 1 square block, 10 different people, 10 different buildings, ready to converge. And I was rich now because I made a deal where I got a free apartment and a free school, which was 500 square foot facility, the entire school, and which included the office. And it was like 350 square feet. And then I also got my free apartment, which is good because I was about to be evicted because I had no money. And then I made a deal with the building owner to do this. After he basically told me no. So what he did first when I came with his idea, he said, "What could you do the police can't do?" And he said, "You know what? No, but it's good you're looking out for your people." I was like, "Who are my people?" I said, "What does that mean?" I said, "First of all, there's all types of people who live in this community. It is 90% African American, but there are other people. And you are in this community, so you would need protection too, right. Even if you're here during the day." So I was like, you need to, look at this. So the way I got him to agree to this, because at first he said no, was I found out from someone that worked in his office, I didn't accept the no. I went back a second time for another no. And this time I was armed with truth. I said, "You had a murder last month, and every month you have murders, you have many people move out." I said, "What that essentially means is you're losing money. You're losing $60,000 in revenue a month from people moving out. Give me $2,000 a month, give me 6 months, and let me stop this home invasion, the murders, and these robberies. Give me that." He goes, "I don't see what you can do, but fine." I said, "And plus I need a free apartment, free training center, and don't evict me." He said, "Okay, fine. You can pay me off what you owe me for the back rent. I'll give you $2,000 a month over the next few months," which was nice of him. Except, of course, he was illegally underpaid. So, I knew it was $2,000 a month. If you ever make $2,000 a month, you are officially rich. So that's when I knew I made it. It wasn't until I had to spend money on the equipment for everyone that I realized $2,000 was absolutely no money.
Right.
And now $20,000 a month is no money.
Right.
So, but it's amazing how much you think differently when situations are different.
Yeah.
Make a long story short, in that 6 months, we got rid of all the home invasions. We got rid of all the murders. The building occupancy went from, probably like 30% up to 90%
wow.
in 6 months. They became profitable. And as a result, the building owner, who didn't even like me, and didn't like the idea of what we're doing, which is providing safety at all, because he didn't think it was going to work. He had no choice but to let me continue on because he's making money now. All the owners didn't like the idea of having security because they didn't think it was real. They didn't think protection is real, because normally it isn't. But this is threat management. This is not security in the traditional sense. It's not policing people. It is threat management. Right. We're managing threats to human beings. And in doing so, you're creating the conditions for non-adversarial interactions, for nonviolent outcomes. So that is what makes it work, is that we're not doing what was done before. And now the wealthy people are getting wealthier. The families are the point, and they're living a safe life. They're happy. They're safe. There's no rape, no robbery, no home invasion. And the police are getting all the credit, which is great. The police are happy. The police commander in that area had their 911 calls went from 300 a month down to 10. And those 10 were us calling.
Wow.
In 1 square block, 300 calls for 911 a month on average.
Wow.
So he got recognized for having such a serious, significant drop in 911 calls in his jurisdiction, in his precinct. So that police commander of that precinct has always supported us behind the scenes as a result of having positive effects with absolutely no negatives. So no court dates, no negative news stories, no abuse of people, no abusing people's rights, no invading people's rights. So essentially using psychology to create safety, not using force and violence, even the threat of force and violence.
What would you say to someone? What would you say to the people who argue that demilitarization will actually increase the amount of crime?
So militarization or demilitarization, militarization is an image, does stop a lot of crime. Demilitarization increases the ability for people to believe that crime is both an option or a positive option, possible option, just because they believe that there's more opportunity. So the important thing to remember is if you're not a violent criminal, you can't understand what it is to be one. Just like a violent criminal can't understand what it's like to be a non-violent criminal or a non-criminal, non-violent person. They can't understand why you'd ever do that. Many can theorize, but they don't really understand you. If you don't like to rape, rob, and kill people, people that do like to rape, rob, and kill people can't understand each other. They're totally different. But yet, you hear people say all the time, oh, I wouldn't rape, rob, and kill someone, in that case, or in this situation. Well, because you're not that kind of person, are you? So how would you possibly understand them?
Right.
So I didn't understand them. So what I had to do was learn about them. How did I learn about them? By putting boots on the ground. So the demilitarization, so think of it this way: undercover cops, undercover law enforcement, undercover protection, executive protection that has no guns you can see, actually creates the idea that you could attack the person. As a result, you try. As a result, you have violence when the person turns out to be armed and or dangerous because you thought he was just a guy in a suit. Turns out he's actually a person with knives and guns under a suit, and now he's going to stab you and shoot you. Well, if you knew he had knives and guns, you wouldn't even approached. You wouldn't even tried it. It's just how the predator works. The predator works on perception of opportunity, not actual strategic logic, other than primal logic, which is you look like a person I could harm, or this looks like a place I could steal from, or this looks like a place I could rape, probably kill people, or it does not. And so if you don't want to encourage negative behavior, you have to discourage it. And that means you have to be impressive to the people that need to be impressed, not you. You're not a rape, robber, and killer. So how you feel doesn't really matter. What matters is how does a rapist, robber, killer feel about this countermeasure, this protocol, this procedure, this image of the protectors, of this building, of this home? What do they see? That's what determines whether they're going to try to attack you, attack your family, attack your corporation, attack your community, is what they perceive, not what is real, not what is true, and not what you feel. So that's imperative. That's what threat management is about. The system I created, preventive threat management, is about preventive threats, preventing threats through management. So we call the system preventive threat management. Urban survival tactics is how it applies to the person. But the larger side of this is understanding preventive threat management. So militarization, you want the most hardcore looking, extreme looking people and vehicles that you can possibly muster. And then you want them to go greet people in a peaceful, positive, polite, and humble way. They should be the friendliest people ever. And guess what? As a result of that equilibrium, we are always welcome. We are always, no one is ever offended by us except for suburbanite people that are living in a extremely safe scenario. They are, feel like, oh, it's not necessary. Until their ex-husband or boyfriend is trying to kill them. Then all of a sudden they like us. So in the urban community and in the rural communities where we help people that are actually being victimized by predators, they're very happy to know that there's this extreme presence and capable people that are there to serve and protect them, not the law. Mm. Okay, so that's the key difference here. Is you're not here to help and provide for the people more than you are for the laws. That is counterproductive for community and for corporations.
Okay.
So we have to have law enforcement, people that enforce laws, absolutely. But protection is what prevents laws from being broken. And that's where the focus needs to be if we want to create a good quality of life for anyone. And how they're dressed doesn't have anything to do with how they behave. How they behave should be always polite, respectful, humble. People often say to me, they'll say things like, well, how do you have the authority? Who gives you the authority to affect change? How can you, where did your authority come from to do anything? I've even had law enforcement officers say that to me before. And it's like there's like a disconnect that somehow you would have to have authority in order to keep someone alive or stop someone from harming someone. There is absolutely no authority you need for that. You need authority if you're going to go and say, do something that really is outside the bounds of self-defense and defense of others. You would need authority for that. There's be some kind of implied authority, right? To go and do certain things. Like one example is the leading cause of death for children in America is the parents. So for that, we would need authority, a judge, and a system by which people should be making statements. They should be on file, on record, investigation be started, and then you go investigate, are those children being harmed in that house? You wouldn't want a corporation doing that. You wouldn't want a company. You wouldn't want your neighbor coming in your house trying to see what they think about your children. You would want a trained professional that has no money involved in this decision making, verifying your children are not being harmed or that your neighbor's children are or are not being harmed. You don't really want a corporation doing that. You don't want your neighbor doing that. You really don't want to do that to your neighbor. Can you imagine you're friends with your neighbor, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, buddy, geez, man, you just, hit your kid. I'm going to take you down now. Yeah, bro. Put your hands behind your back. Yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah, I saw you smack your kid. Sorry, man. I got to take you to the jail downtown. It's what we do. We just do it ourselves. We don't call the police. Now, how are your neighbors going to let you take your other neighbor because you saw the kid get slapped by your neighbor? I mean, just the concept. So that's where you need a law enforcement agency that is connected to the greater good. You actually need that. That's not connected directly to any of us. It's supposed to be that way, right? Mm-hmm. And you really need that. You really don't want to be the guy that goes next door to investigate your neighbor. You don't want to be that guy. Nor do you want to be a police officer living next to the person you have to investigate. That's not fair. Right. To you, your family, your kids. I mean, be real. This concept that people have, these false concepts of, either hatred of police or hatred of people for the police, none of that. It's all gray. That's ridiculous. Police are people. People are police. And we need to just be real about these real subjects. Is abuse real? Yes. We need to address those abuse issues. But the police idea of a state law enforcement agency is absolutely required for equilibrium in your society. Now, you may not realize that because you just don't have reason. Like, I'm from Ann Arbor, which is a college town. University of Michigan's there. I never saw police do anything. I never saw them around. Hi, how are you? And they're very respectful. And I just didn't see any police issues. I never saw any, police abuse people or anything like that. I mean, they were very professional. When I came to Detroit, I saw a completely different perspective of police and policing. The police in Detroit were not like the police where I'm from. They weren't doing the same thing. So I say that to say that we need a higher level of understanding of these realities, that police are people, police departments are different based on where they're at, and you need to treat police like they are people, and people need to understand that police are just people. So whatever police problems we're having, that's because we have problems with our population. The police are a mirror. They're just our people. Now, you may not like the mirror from whatever perspective you're having, but that's you not liking American people. That's all. They're a direct reflection of the population. and a way that you can see them clearly because they're in a uniform, standing away from you, looking different than other people. But they're just people. And in a lot of ways, they are people that have a higher level of credentials than the average person for a function of a job. And that being said, the improvements that need to be made are severe and significant. But what I tell people all the time is we have created these false ideas from television and other things that are just not realistic. We tell police officers they need to go to a situation where people are shooting guns, and we don't give them a bulletproof helmet. That makes no sense. We tell them they need to go to a place where people are shooting guns, but we don't give them a bulletproof car. Once again, that doesn't make sense. You wouldn't send special forces somewhere without a bulletproof vehicle. Like, they're not going to say, just go out there. And look what happened in Nigeria. Special forces didn't have a bulletproof vehicle, and they died out there. And that's special forces. So right. The idea is counterproductive. Firefighters get $1 million truck. Paramedics get a $500,000 or $250,000 truck, and police get a family car. And then we get mad if police try to preserve their life when there's a kid inside of a school shooting in Parkland. We want him to go inside and die in a blaze of glory and or kill other children while trying to kill the kid he thought was the one with the gun. None of that makes any sense. That's what happens when we watch too much TV. What I can tell you is you're never supposed to take your gun, go into a situation with lots of other bodies in there, and start shooting a gunman. That's not going to work. That's not the way that's going to happen. And you actually have real life application to see what really happens. You can check with there's some Russian stories where they go in their blaze of glory, and it does not go well. You end up seeing a lot of civilians, which they then blame on the gunman, but it's still avoidable shootings. Okay, so the way to do it will be different if you wanted to preserve lives while taking on an active shooter, which is counterproductive. We want to keep schools safe. You know what we do? Don't let gunmen in the school. That's how we preserve safety on the airplane. You know how many active shooters have been on an airplane? Oh yeah, none. Why? We don't let active shooters even get close to the airplane. That's what we should do for kids in school. You can't get on the school property without permission. You can't get into the school without permission. You can't bring a gun on school property or into the school. It's a very simple process. It's all prevention based. But you don't build a glass house and then tell people to somehow inherently be safe. If we want safety, it takes strategy, it takes tactics, and it takes a preventive mindset, and not a response-based mindset. We're being unfair to ourselves, unfair to law enforcement officers. These are inappropriate ideas. So the guy in Parkland, that police officer, they wanted to prosecute him for not going into the school to shoot the kids. How does he know which kid to shoot?
Right.
Have you been practicing shooting children lately? I mean, what gun range you go to, you're like, all right, I'm going to pick the right kid to shoot in the head. I just went to my little kid shooting range. Where did he even get the training to shoot children? I mean, do you think it's that easy? Like, yeah, I just go inside, find the right kid, shoot him in the head. That's what I do. That's not even when you say it out loud, it sounds stupid.
Right.
To expect some adult or kid to go into a school and shoot the right kid, first time in their life they're shooting kids, the concept is insane. Mm-hmm. And if you knew the hit probability under force-on-force conflict is very low, go look at paintball. Go look at paintball shooting matches. That'll give you an idea to see how many times people will shoot, actually miss, and that's real life. Except you know you're not going to die, you still don't want to get hit.
Right.
Okay. So I say all that to say that we really need, if we're going to talk about public safety, we're going to talk about the future, we're going to talk about what's wrong and what's right. We have to have a full understanding. And we have to look at all people as people. We have to look at all people as family. Police have to learn to look at all people as their family. And people have to understand that all police are family of someone. And so this idea that you can put them at risk and tell them to go out in a blaze of glory is insane. They have kids. They have moms and dads. They didn't sign up to die. That's from television. That's a movie. That's not real. It's a job. And our job is to keep the police safe so they can go do their job, which we decided not to do. We decided to give them minimum training standards, no bulletproof helmets, no bulletproof cars, no 5-way seatbelts. They don't even have a special car. They get a family car. Fire departments get a special truck. Paramedics get a special car, right?
Right.
You've never seen paramedics pull up in a regular car, a regular van. Like, yeah, it's got this van, so it's a good deal our department got. It's just a regular van. No, paramedics get, if it's a van, it's like totally customized. Taller roof, all kinds of stuff inside. I mean, it's a totally customized vehicle, and that's for paramedics.
Mm.
So we're literally twisting the subjects around and then bastardizing them and then saying, look what happened. But the reality is that we treat people like family, and we look at the dynamics of all the issues. If we learn that no matter what the industry is, we need to think about prevention of violence and negative occurrences and the preservation of life, man. Anti-kill philosophy is what I've created. The belief there's always a way to preserve life. If we use that anti-kill philosophy, we can create conditions for police and the public to stay alive and safe. Mm-hmm. That's the big point.
Can you talk a little bit about domestic violence and what you guys do in cases of that?
Domestic violence is something that we've always done. I unfortunately saw a lot of domestic violence, helping people in general, training, self-defense. And what I found was that there is no prevention, there is no protection for domestic violence victims. There's no protection. What there is a protection order, a piece of paper, but there's not actually any physical protection. So literally, the piece of paper will say, hey, guy, you can't go around her. He goes over there and kills her. The piece of paper points the investigators in the right direction of who may have killed her. Well, what if you don't want to die? What if you don't want to be killed? That piece of paper is not, in fact, getting a PPO, personal protection order, getting a document from the courts telling a man who was a predator not to hurt the victim is a way to get her killed sooner. Because you now made a predator angry. Mm-hmm. What we do is go into a situation, we train the women and the children to protect themselves, how to do so. We physically protect them going to court, hide them in locations if there's predators out here looking to kill them, which happens when the man is a dedicated killer. And we physically take them to different cities, we transport them, and we protect them. Meaning we stand between them and any bullets that will come to them. We don't allow the man to have access to them. And also, we protected gay males. Some other gay males are trying to kill them, and males and females are trying to kill them. So it's just 99% of it is males attacking females. But we protected every kind of person: Muslim, Christian, atheist, males from females, females from males. It's normally males attacking females and the children. And we provide three primary services. First is education, so they can protect themselves. The second is physical extractions and protection of court. We go with them to courtrooms. We take them to court. We make sure they're there for the prosecutor to actually prosecute. So the prosecutors actually send women to us because they need the women protected. Otherwise, the women won't come forward in a lot of cases. So we actually help the prosecutors and help the police department by protecting the women so they can successfully prosecute the violent man, right?
Right.
And in other cases, the third thing we do is just help them navigate the legal system. We help them contact police. We help them find the right police. We help them. A lot of times when police departments find out we're involved, they actually take the female victim a lot more seriously and are more proactive about helping them, which is fine by us. We're not trying to do something instead of the police. We're trying to help the victim. If the police want to do it, not us, that's great. We already pay taxes for that. And if they have the time, the manpower, and the willpower to do it, great. They also have more resources than I do. So that's great. Mm-hmm. So everyone's a winner. At the end of the day, the bottom line is making sure the sisters, the mothers, the daughters that are being attacked and their children are alive. That's the point, not who does it. I don't care if it's the police doing it or if it's us doing it. It's great if the police do it, and that does happen sometimes where the police actually, step in and say, hey, we got this in our jurisdiction, and that's great because honestly, our resources are always tight. So when we do this, it's a great sacrifice of our time, energy, and money, but we're willing to do it. And my staffers, I'm really proud of them because I don't pay them for this. I don't get paid for this. This is a volunteer thing. They're not required to do it. If they want to help victims, they can. If not, they don't. I can't make them go volunteer to protect domestic violence victims. But we've done so successfully for 25 years. Hundreds of women and their children are alive, and we're very proud of that. We went into their lives. We made it so they're safe, and we kept them being raped, robbed, and murdered, which is amazing, man. Some of the stories are absolutely amazing. We had a situation where one lady kept calling because her son and her daughters were being abused by their father. And this is an executive in a major car company out in the suburbs. He was very wealthy, and the police department was very intimidated by him. He kind of reminded me of what you think of as someone that is a politician, someone that's in a powerful position, executive, like Romney, kind of look like Romney. So, he looks like he's in charge because he is in charge of some things. So the police would say to them, like when they were getting attacked, one of the daughters had her head put under the water in the kitchen. When a police officer came in, he's so enthralled by their house that he could barely pay attention to what they're saying. Like our father, held us under the water and put the girl's head under the water, like literally tried to drown her, in front of him. And that's because she interfered in the beating of her little brother, who is a quadriplegic. He literally liked to whip him for whatever reason. They don't know. And so when the kids would resist, he would attack them and the mom. And it was two girls, one son that's not handicapped or challenged, physically challenged, and the mom. And the mom was a college graduate with a master's degree in education and very articulate until she was constantly contacting judges and prosecutors. For whatever reason, they couldn't do anything. The police said that last time they were attacked, the police said, well, there's 5 of you in here, 4 of you. Why don't you just attack him and stop him from doing something? You guys just handle it yourself. There's no way you can do something with all of you fighting against him. Now his daughters, one's blonde, one's brunette. They're both slim, maybe 5'5", 5'6", 120 pounds. This guy is 6'4", like 270. And these little girls and their mom are supposed, and the teenage little brother are supposed to attack the father. That doesn't make any sense. So, make a long story short, he ended up going to prison because he was caught doing that beating at a grocery store out in the suburbs, and some soccer mom locked him in and placed him under citizen's arrest and got him prosecuted. He was literally whipping, and turned out it was on camera, his quadriplegic son that's in a wheelchair that he steers with his mouth, and he can't communicate, can't even use words. Wow. But here this executive is beating his son. We don't know what that's about. But before that, though, and I'm sad and proud of this, I'm very sad because they came back and told me a story that they were very proud of. Their father was trying to submerge the blonde daughter's head under the water in the kitchen, in the sink. And the family put him in a chokehold that I showed him how to do and took him down and knocked him out. And they were very happy to do that to their father. Wow. And, that was very upsetting to me that, unfortunately, the only solution for this family was they had to take out their father, make him unconscious, suffocate him, suck the oxygen from his brain in order to save themselves from his aggression. And then he went to prison after that for abusing the son. But what was amazing, I'm happy that, the tactics helped them. I'm sad that they had to do this to their own father. And, now the blonde daughter is a physician. The brunette daughter, who choked the father unconscious, she is a lawyer. They all went to University of Michigan. The mom, she got her master's from University of Michigan. The son, he's about to graduate from University of Michigan. And, so this is what I would characterize as an upper middle class family that, lived in probably like a 10,000 square foot home, had a beautiful life, and were experiencing terror. And so my point in saying that is that what we do is we help people in all areas survive. The whole point is survival, not where do you live? They happen to be living in a beautiful suburban neighborhood. But we help people in suburbs, we help people in country towns, and we help people in the inner city. So we help people everywhere. And it turns out people need help everywhere. Even if you don't, remember, there's a bunch of other people where you live, mainly women, children, and elderly, that need help. No matter where you live, it's imperative to remember that. You may not need help, but there's lots of other people that do.
And are you seeing...
That's why 85% of the police in America, 85% of the police in America do not work in cities. Remember that. 85%. And 78% of the people that are arrested by the police for illegal drug possession are people outside of cities. So we don't see that on TV shows like Cops and movies, but the majority of people being arrested do not live in cities in this country.
And are you seeing other people follow this model, your guys' model?
There are people training with us, but you have to train with us. It would be like, trying to learn a certain style of yoga without going to the place to learn the style of yoga.
Right.
People do that. Like, I saw it, so I'm going to try it. And it's sad. You really have to train. Imagine. So what we do is so severe and significant. It's like heart surgery. It's like kind of like heart surgery. Maybe it's like anything that's very dangerous. What we do is very dangerous. 6 of us have been shot. 5 males and 1 female. Okay, all of us are alive. We stabilize our wounded and transport our wounded to level 1 trauma hospitals. So understand this is very serious what we do. No victims have ever been injured or killed. And we have no court dates, no lawsuits for 25 years.
Wow.
Now, that is very hard to do. And so if you try to copy us without going through the education, you're going to be destroyed. I promise you. And I tell people this all the time. You have to have the education. We're a training system. We're franchising our educational system with the urban survival tactics, but you have to come to Detroit to learn the Vipers program. You have to come here. We have people coming from other cities, states, and countries right now. They're learning because we're going to franchise them to their different cities, states, and countries. And our objective is to show them what to do and how to do it so they can create safety safely. And that means not violence. And that means not having interactions that are adversarial with the people in the communities and with the public or with police. It's about stopping predators, right? Any prosperity that can come would come as a byproduct, but it can't be a focal point. The only thing you need to focus on is creating a positive environment. Prosperity naturally occurs in a positive environment. You can't stop it. You can't stop capitalism. You can't stop free market growth in an environment which is enriched with protection, because that is the foundation of prosperity. Literally, a foundation of prosperity starts and ends with protection.
And what's your guys' website?
Our website is threatmanagementcenter.com.
Okay, great.
Threatmanagementcenter.com.
And just to finish up here, are you guys seeing an uptick in violence? We talked about this before, but are you guys seeing anything from these protests that are going on?
We are not seeing any uptick in violence in the neighborhoods whatsoever. And since COVID, we have seen a severe and significant drop in crime overall in our communities. And, we protect approximately 5,000 families in Detroit, our staff. And we have 1 private community and 1 half private community, and the majority of our other communities, corporations and individual family homes that we protect, are all on public streets and not in private locations and gated communities or anything like that. So regular people have access to our contact with our staff members and our clients. So we are in Detroit, real Detroit, urban Detroit, not like a suburb of Detroit. And we are seeing a decrease in violence overall. However, I have heard from some police that there's not just downtown Detroit. Obviously, with the riots, there's actual protests. Most of the riots and protesters seem to be from the suburbs coming to Detroit. They were characterized as anarchists, or violent anarchists, not peaceful anarchists. And they were Antifa, identified as, possible Antifa people. My personal view is I'm against fascism, so I'm not sure how anti-fascism is bad, but I do destruction of property is bad. But I am definitely pro anti-fascism, so I support that part of their arguments. But as far as throwing bricks at people and violence, it's just counterproductive.
Mm-hmm.
Although not well for Christmas addicts, to be honest. Somehow we forget this guy with a warrant for his arrest threw a rock at law enforcement. Didn't turn out to be a positive thing, but in reality, without that guy, that black guy with a warrant with a rock, there would be no United States of America.
Right.
Right? So, yeah, I do not advocate throwing rocks at law enforcement or being against the rules or laws. However, we do need to be honest that change is going to happen. It's either going to change is going to happen intellectually or it's going to be radical and physical. Mm. I support intellectual change. We should be able to think through this and say, listen, let's look at all people. All lives should matter. And that should not be considered a derogatory term. We need to use straight etymology. There are no such thing as black people or white people. We know that because if you go to a car dealership and you ask for a black car or a white car, it's not going to look like any people you know. And if it comes out the same color as any people you know, you want your money back.
Right.
If you are an African American and you order a black car, and it comes out, they deliver that car, and it's the same color as your skin, you want your money back. If you're a European American and you're like, I want a white car, and it shows up that your same skin color, you're going to be sick. That is not a white car. You know it's not.
Right.
And albinos are the palest people in the world, and nobody ever claims that there's a problem with albinos seeking their own nation or power to them, or you never see them massing up and throwing their fists saying white power. Okay? In fact, they can't even join the KKK. And they're paler than any KKK members.
Right.
Oh, by the way, 80% of albinos live in Africa. Just so you know. Yes. And none of them can join the KKK. So they're technically the whitest people in the world can't even be in the KKK. So there is no white people or black people. There's no race. What there is ethnic identity. And ethnic identity is based on your family's land of origin, your family's language, your family's name, lineage, right? That's who you are. You're not who you are because your skin color. There's no time in the Civil War where people were like, oh yeah, I was gonna fight you, man, but we have the same skin color, so we're not really gonna have a civil war. That did not happen. In World War II and World War I, if there was such thing as black on black crime, we'd have to call those white on white wars, like the Civil War. If black on black crime was a thing, then white on white war would be a bigger thing. Right. There's no such thing as color coding people. People are not color coded, and you can't use that to understand any part of human societal structures and constructs. It's completely false. That would be like saying when the Nazis killed 6 million Jews, it's like white people killing white people.
Right.
How would you understand the conflict there if you're going to call Jews or clearly European and lacking an abundance, do not have an abundance of melanin, and their German neighbors who also do not have an abundance of melanin? How could you call them both white people and understand the conflict on why some of them are being killed?
Right.
So using skin color coding would not work in any way to understand any real significant issues under any conditions. And we need to let it go. In order for us as a society to evolve, we can't understand police problems, public problems today, historically, or in the future if we're going to still lie to each other and call each other a color. Right now, 70% of the population of the prisons do not have an abundance of melanin in their skin. However, 20% of them are called non-white Hispanics, even though Spain is in Europe, which makes Spanish people Europeans. And if they were running down the street and a police officer saw them do a crime or looking for them, they would say male white running down the street. They wouldn't say Non-white Hispanic. I'm looking for a non-white Hispanic over here, running down the street. It's not true. They say white male, male white, Mike whiskey. But the bottom line is, we need to look at that differently as well. But when you call people colors and try to use that as some type of identification, it doesn't hold up to the reality of the problem or conditions or situations. Because millions, I have a cousin who looks just like you, and both of his parents, well, one of his mom's Irish with red hair from Ireland, and his father is African American. He literally looks just like you. You guys are twin brothers. Mm-hmm. So you would not know millions of Americans of African heritage actually look completely 100% European.
Right. There's
literally no way to tell. And as far as Muslims, do you know the majority of Muslims don't look like the Mexicans in the movies? Muslims? Did you know that? Yeah. So we have to throw away all these falsehoods that we have in our society to understand the world we live in. So Persians hate Arabs. Persians are Iranians. They are also more European looking. There are blonde-haired, blue-eyed Iraqis that look like they're from Southern California on the beach. So you cannot use these movies, the Mexican-looking Muslim person, that says infidel, which, by the way, is a word that means non-believer in Christianity. Infidelis is a Latin word, not an Arabic word, and it does not translate. Huh. So when you see it in the movies and they go, the infidelity, that really is not supposed to be meaning not a religious person. It means a person doesn't believe in Christianity.
Interesting.
Specifically. In Arabic, they say the word kafir. Kafir means non-believer in the truth. Mm. That's not the same thing as non-believer in this religion. Specifically, infidel, infidelity, infidelis. This is a Latin prefix from the Catholic religion. Mm. And they call anyone who did not believe in Catholicism infidels. So the reason why Arabic people can't say infidel right, except in the movies, is because that's not a word from Arabic. These all American soldiers put that on their shirt, they're like, proud infidel. That means you don't like Christianity, dude. You do not understand. It means you're not liking Christianity. You're against Christianity. An infidel is someone who doesn't believe in Christianity. So you don't say you're a proud infidel on your rifle, on patches on your uniform, T-shirts, hats, bumper stickers. How angry are they going to be when they find out they're saying they're proud to be a non-believer in Christianity?
Right.
Somebody's going to look it up one day. You know what it is? They changed in the Urban Dictionary. They're like, well, actually, we think it means this now.
No.
No. You can't just change it. Because the movie said something. He made millions of patches. So my point in saying all that is this, man. Public safety, business, the free market, societal structures, societal constructs, all those things are related to prosperity, protection, safety, education, and evolution. Mm. But you can't lie. We can't lie and go forward. We're living lies, calling people blacks and whites. The only reason that African Americans think that they're black is because the Mali Empire, the Mauritanians, who are still selling Africans right now. Yeah, right now. Muslim Africans are selling in the marketplace as they have done today. They're still doing it as they did for 700 years before they sold the first African that is not from their kingdom to the first European who called them Negro, which means black. Because they're black to them as slaves. It's a derogatory term. It's not really. They know they're not really black. It's a term. To be derogatory, don't call them an African. You want to call them something that's not good.
Right.
Black. So the reality is, when African Americans are calling themselves black, it's the new one. When we used to be Negro or something else, we're colored, and now we're black. Well, maybe colored again later, uncolored or unnegro or hey, listen, Americans of African heritage all have a last name from European people because all of us are mixed with Europeans.
Right.
So there is no purebred Africans in America hundreds of years after enslavement. We need to also own that. We're all actually ethnically mixed in the United States. We are not separate. We are actually together. We need to own that. And that's the only way we can really move forward is the truth. We didn't pick a last name. That is our actual ancestors' last name.
Mm.
That's embarrassing at a certain level, but it's a reality that we need to accept that those last names are not African last names for a reason.
Mm.
That they're ancestors.
Right.
That's why we look. And so, once again, we're not a separate group. We're actually one group of people. This is Camelot. This is a place of mixed ethnic people from all over the world, and it continues to keep mixing. It's just part of a societal structure. The reason why Irish and Italians were and African Americans are so closely related is because the Irish and Italians were Catholic, and they were called dogs when they moved to America. The Irish and Italians did not have human rights. So they automatically connected with African Americans, and they formed communities and families. So we need to be honest about our history to understand why things are the way they are now. And then we can understand then that all these false collectives and separative concepts are just false constructs. They're completely false, and we need to stop it. Because it's also counterproductive, but it's also just lies. So it's not just not cool, it's just lying. There are no white people. Germans, Italians, French, Greeks are all proud people of Europe, and they're not the same people. Caribbean people, yes, dark complected, not the same as African Americans. Haitians, not the same as Jamaicans. And they're proud of each other independently. They're not like, oh, you're like me, we both have an accent. No, they're Haitians and Jamaicans are different people. Just because they look similar skin tone doesn't make them the same people. Just like Greeks and Italians. And so just like Greeks, Italians, French, Germans have been at war since before they were called Greek, French, Italians, Germans. They've been at war the whole time. They're still fighting over money. They're still fighting each other. Brexit.
Right.
They're still fighting. Right? The Irish are still fighting in Ireland based on where you live, in the mountains or down in the valley. The Irish are still fighting in Ireland. They're still fighting the Scottish, and they're still fighting Britain, based on whether you believe that you're a pope or you don't believe in the pope. But you're both Christian, but you got to kill each other.
Yeah.
And then the closest thing is Ethiopians and Eritreans getting along because they're tanness. No, Eritreans and Ethiopians are not getting along. They are both the same people, actually, but they're not getting along. Mm. And there are 54 other African countries that have many different disputes internally and externally. Skin color does not make them kin. Skin does not make you kin. It's not real. There's never been a time where Japanese and Chinese and Koreans got along and yelled yellow power and connected with each other because of yellow power. There's no yellow power. Because people are not colors. And your skin is not your connection. Your family name, your family language, and your family's land of origin is what connects you culturally and ethnically. So there is no race. And as soon as we can accept that truth, we can then move to the next thing and have a conversation about a problem. But imagine if we're living a lie and we believe we're colors, right? And then we want to have a conversation. It's not going to work.
Right.
It's not going to work, right? Not in World War II in Germany, not in the Civil War in the United States, and not today in the American cities and rural countries, suburban communities. We're not going to understand our problems if we don't identify people correctly in situations honestly. And then all of our solutions will be demented if we're not honest about the problems in the first place.
Right.
So just honest etymology and remove all other American bullshit that we've learned over the years. Let that go and move forward together. Because if we don't, we'll destroy everything.
Right.
So you keep living lies dement reality. That reality has a consequence, right? And now you're no longer German. Now you have to wear this yellow thing on your arm, and they're gonna kill you and by the millions because you're a different type of German. You're all German. Everybody speaks German. Everybody lives in the same German blocks. Everyone's working together as Germans. But suddenly, because you go to a different place of religion and have a different name, you're no longer the German that we allow to live.
Right.
And then they killed a bunch of other Germans too.
Yep.
So really the point was about killing, wasn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if it was about skin color, then Germany would not have killed 20 million pale Christian Russians. It was more like 30 million. That's just in World War II. So at no time was skin color for Europeans a connection. There is no white people connection, just like there is in Asia or Africa. The indigenous populations in the Americas have always had wars with each other. Skin color was not it, ever. So we just need to face that fact to move forward. And a lot of our other problems will start to go away once we start telling the truth about everything.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. If there's anything else that you would like to say, and if you want to tell people where they can find you, that would be great.
Great. You can go to YouTube, look up, we have about 600 videos on there. You can Google Detroit Threat Management Center. You can also YouTube police testimonials, Detroit Threat Management Center, keywords, and you'll see police officers testifying that our training helped them protect themselves, keep themselves alive, help them protect citizens and not injure citizens when subjugating citizens. So our techniques help police officers not injure themselves, not kill people, and not get killed. And it enables officers to more easily take people into custody without injuring people, including avoiding positional asphyxiation, like with this Floyd situation, which happens all the time. And it's not just police. Regular people are putting people into custody, and they are accidentally killing people all the time. It's not abnormal. It's just that it is something you're trained not to do in a professional sense. So these police officers should have known not to do that, because specifically positional asphyxiation is something they're taught not to do if they went to any legit police training association. It's a very basic thing, because you can actually kill someone a lot of different ways under custody conditions. So without training, you're literally going to be killing people all the time. This is just one of the ways, which is to kneel on someone while they're on the ground. Another way to do it is literally while they're exasperated, like running, is just to handcuff them, lay them flat on their chest, on the ground or on a seat. And what will happen is your chest just decompresses and the air comes out a little bit, and you actually die slowly because you can't inflate your chest unless you're really thin. Really skinny people can survive like that, but bigger people cannot. And normal people will not have the ability to keep oxygenating themselves while handcuffed and breathing face down. So you're supposed to put people on their side in their handcuffs so they can still breathe. That's the bottom line. Okay. And that's known. That's not my science. That's the science of is known for medically for how to avoid positional asphyxiation. Okay. So we teach people that, civilians and police, and that's because that's what we've had to do many times, to not injure and kill people. So the bottom line is there are solutions for the public and for the police, and they're positive. When you go to our website, you'll see police officers testifying to that. You'll see victories. We don't have victims, we have victories. Detroit Threat Management Center victory testimonials, domestic violence testimonials. If you Google that, if you look that up on YouTube, you'll see all these people. You see women, old people, young people, every ethnic group, all the people we helped for free. Not all of them, we only put a few of them up. But you'll see a lot of these women, senior citizens, people that were terrorized, and we helped them and we removed the terrorism. So that's what we call this anti-terrorism. We stop people from being terrorized right here in America. It's a great thing. So at the end of the day, it is through education, through truth and etymology, using words properly, right, that we can create a more cohesive society. And we do it together. And the objective of our franchise facilities is going to be to bring urban survival tactics training to regular people so they can prevent violence by having the skills to do that, right? To disarm guns, disarm knives. The young man who was killed by the guys in the truck down in Georgia, he was able to actually get into a position to disarm that shotgun, and he almost had the shotgun away from him. He literally grabbed the barrel, sidestepped, and he punched the aggressor instead of redirecting. He could have face peeled him, peeled his eye off, peeled him off that shotgun, and then used that shotgun to defend his life. And that's the kind of stuff we teach. We teach you how to disarm pistols, shotguns, and rifles to protect yourself and your family. And you'll see on our website police officers testifying that they're alive because we train them in how to use our tactics to protect their lives from violent criminals, people that have intention to kill police officers. They're alive now because of that training. And then you'll see also domestic violence victims. You'll see also testimonies from people that use the training, regular people, college educated professionals, to factory people, to regular people that just used our training to protect themselves. If you look stuff on YouTube, look up testimonials, Detroit Threat Management Center, Vipers program. You'll see lots of testimonials. Just put in, make sure you keyword testimonial.
And I'll definitely link to those underneath the podcast too. But I really appreciate everything you're doing. I hope your message gets out, and I hope you can expand. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
It's the weekend, we can let go. It's the full send, it's the get-go.